Welcome back, and we're going to continue our conversation about Republican Rome by discussing another obviously important cultural context, religion. So the Romans did, as we noted, a lot of things very similar to the Greeks, and one of those similar things was the pervasiveness of religion. Religion is everywhere, both in Rome, the city itself, that's the Temple of Bacchus on the left, but also every territory they conquered had some strong archaeological or architectural evidence of Roman religious presence. On the right, you're looking at a temple dedicated to Helios, that's the Roman god of the sun, that was built in Armenia. Armenia is an awfully long way away from the city of Rome and is an example of one of those sort of far-flung territories I showed you from the previous map. The Romans were relatively respectful of people's religion in a given region that they conquered, but they also made very sure to let those people know of the grace and glory and majesty of Roman religion, hence the giant temple. And what we get then in Rome is that religion becomes something along the lines of propaganda. It becomes crowd control. And this is not only for foreign and conquered territories, but for everybody in Rome itself. One great example of this is just like the city Dionysia and just like other religious festivals and rites and rituals from Athens, Rome had plenty of its own religious festivals and rituals and things like that. The difference, though, is that the Romans took that stuff really, really seriously, to the point that there are stories of various Roman religious rites, right? And we're talking about a ceremony with people coming in and sacrificing and exiting in costumes and lines and everything. And if 2.5 hours into this ceremony, somebody stepped in the wrong place or gave the wrong line or made any kind of an error, they would stop and start the whole ceremony over again. And so there is inherent to the Roman religious belief this idea of, it's almost like a superstitious controlling thing, whereas the Greeks were much more philosophical about it, right? And so your job as a Roman citizen is to worship the gods and worship the gods correctly. And this is a little carving of Roman leaders celebrating a victory by paying immediate homage to Jupiter, right, to the head god of the Roman pantheon. And so if you don't worship correctly, Rome will suffer. And there's a clear, deep, superstitious linkage between the health of your religious life as an individual and the health of the Roman state. And one of the things that results in is, frankly, right, a religion that is pervasive and controlling, and that is, compared to the Greeks anyway, much less philosophical, much less free, and much more about propaganda and teaching people what it is to be Roman. And in this case, what it is to be Roman is to follow the rites and rituals and rules and, sort of keep your place in line. The Greeks certainly believed in religion very heavily, but they were much more philosophical about it and much more complex in their thoughts. The Romans, again, territory, patriotism, all that good stuff, were not really able to sort of hold complex ideas, or at least not to let those complex ideas exist out in the public mind. If you're going to hold that much territory, you have to have very patriotic and very sort of hive mind oriented people who are willing to fall in line. And religion was one of the ways that that was accomplished. Another way that that was accomplished was through the general context of gender, how men and women were treated, and specifically how women were treated, and the overall structure of family. As in Greece, and as in most of everything we're going to deal with in 317, the male is the fundamental, unquestioned head of the family. That means unlimited control. Basically, the man of the house owns everybody else. They're not literal slaves, but they might as well be. So the women are, your wife is effectively your property. You can do with her whatever you want. Your kids are your property as well. There are various laws that maybe allow you to get rid of your kids, as in kill them or send them to brothels or whatever if you don't like what they're doing. So men have a huge amount of control, which, of course, in this very male-dominated society, certainly fits with everything else the Romans believe in. One of the things that men are obligated to do as leaders is to demonstrate the execution of these two really important Roman virtues. They are pietas and gravitas. And the key to being a Roman man is to execute at all times the notions of pietas and gravitas. We'll talk about pietas first. It is basically this notion of humility. Cicero, the Roman writer Cicero, defines it as the virtue which admonishes us to do our duty to our country or our parents or other blood relations. It is this key ingrained idea, pietas is, of respect for elders, respect for authority, and devotion to the gods. So Obviously, that's a key part of knowing your place in the larger scale of things and paying respect to those above you and making sure those below you are paying respect to you. So that's the pietas part of it. The gravitas part is this notion of dignity, that you will perform all things you do with sobering, enduring, and unemotional behavior. Roman men were supposed to be stoic. They were not supposed to have sort of emotional outbursts or any external display of emotion. The notion of gravitas, again, is stoicism and thoughtful, controlled behavior in all things. So with pietas, right, you take care of the people above you, and you make sure the people below you are taking care of you. But gravitas says you do that not in a domineering or rude or cruel manner, but in a respectful manner. You respectfully and in a sober and dignified manner accept the orders of those above you. And when you're giving orders to those below you, you do it in a not cruel, not vengeful, not spiteful way. But you do it with, again, stoicism and dignity. So pietas and gravitas are big deals about being a Roman male. Women, therefore, are pretty much sex objects and or possessions. They do not figure in the notion of pietas. They do not figure in the notion of gravitas. They're something completely outside of the bounds of all of these other sort of rules of society that the Romans created. As you read Brothers, pay careful attention to how the women are treated. There are a handful of moments where they have a tiny little bit of authority, maybe, but basically not. So keep in mind about how pietas and gravitas are displayed, and you will see women as objects, as in actual items to be bargained with or bargained over and sort of decided about. So look for that relationship between men and women in this play. And you will find the male characters displaying or failing to display pietas and gravitas. And the play intends to teach a clear lesson with regards to how you need to behave, pietas and gravitas wise. Last of all, we need to talk about entertainment, which is somewhat related to social class, but mainly entertainment is just something the Romans did everywhere all the time. And here's how this works. As the Roman Republic gets big, all this territory creates an enormous amount of wealth, right? Rome is basically sucking the natural resources out of all of the places it conquered. They're also getting an enormous amount of slave labor. And so Rome itself and the surrounding Italian territories mean that people have a lot of wealth. Wealth means leisure time. You get citizens in Rome who have investments abroad or who are merchants or traders or other people who are making a lot of money off of the giant areas that Rome has conquered. All of a sudden, these people have a little bit more time on their hands. And in addition to having time on their hands, they have money on their hands, and they're interested then in stuff to do. So one of the things that characterizes entertainment in Republican Rome is this notion of commercial, as in your entertainment needs to make money, and competitive entertainment, as in your entertainment better be more interesting than the thing next door, because otherwise I'm not going to pay my hard-earned money to go see it. Compare this to, for instance, the city Dionysia in Athens. You have to pay to enter the city Dionysia, but it's not a commercial contest. It's not a commercial venture. City Dionysia is not competing against 3 other simultaneously ongoing theater festivals. It's the only show in town, and it's not happening that often. Whereas in Rome, you walk around downtown Rome at the height of the Republic, there are a lot of different choices for what you can go and see. So, for example, if you're walking around Rome, you've got a lot of choices to be entertained by. This is one of the great things about Rome. It fits right in with the religion. Hey, if you're worried about what's going on with the Roman Republic, don't worry about it. Go look at all this exciting stuff we've got. You know about the Colosseum, right? I love this upper right-hand picture of the Colosseum because we never think about what is under the floor of the Colosseum. Little trap doors and also drainage. They at one point filled the Colosseum partially with water and did a little mock naval battle there. On the bottom left, you have the gladiatorial events, which you know all about. On the bottom right there, you have the Hippodrome, which was basically, right, the racetrack for chariots. This is the whole Ben-Hur thing. So in addition to having some theater here and there, which we'll talk about in a minute, Rome had tons and tons and tons of entertainment. These are just tiny little examples. And just like Rome set up temples in all its conquered territories, it also set up Roman amphitheaters in all its conquered territories. And so what you're looking at here, this is from upper left going clockwise. These are Roman amphitheaters in France, in Israel, in Tunisia, and in Armenia. This is all over the Roman Empire. And we're talking about, right, hi, here's who we are. We're Rome. Congratulations on being part of the Roman Empire. We've got some really good entertainment for you. We're going to let you watch people kill each other. We're going to let you watch people kill animals. We're going to let you watch animals kill people. Isn't it great to be Roman? And theater, in a general performative sense, then, is pretty much a distraction, right? And so one of the ways in which we keep everybody happy is to find the newest, latest, best, and most exciting attraction. In this world, traditional theater, in the Roman context, is modeled after Greek theater. But by and large, it's a minor entertainment. There's a sort of mini golden age of Roman theater, traditional theater. It lasts a little less than 100 years. So in the larger scheme of that 500-year republic, Rome doesn't really do that much with theater. Brothers is something that is kind of an anomaly in terms of the larger Roman entertainment context. Because one of the challenges is it's got to compete with other shinier, more exciting, more violent, more bloody, more patriotic entertainments. So one of the questions we have to ask ourselves is, if I'm in Rome, why do I want to go see Brothers as opposed to going to see some gladiators fighting or some chariots racing or some attractive flute girls dancing? That was another Roman entertainment. This play, Brothers, is a sales job. It is very similar to what's going on Broadway in America today. I want you to pay money to see my show instead of seeing those other shows. So this play has to pander to its audience a little bit. It has to give its audience what they want. Tell me how it does that. So to sum up Rome, patriotism, religious ritual, and conformity through family. Basically, do what you're told, yea-rah, Rome, don't ask a lot of questions. Entertainment serves to support that, not by complicating the way you believe. Again, a nice comparison to the Greeks, which had some philosophical and sort of countercultural elements, and the Greeks had some of that stuff in their theater. Roman theater doesn't have any of that. Roman entertainment has almost none of that. It's just simply a distraction to affirm existing beliefs and then shore up everything that you as a Roman audience member already believe. So come in when we talk about Brothers, come in ready to tell me how this play just reaffirms everything I as a Roman probably already believe. Thanks, and that's it.